Welcome to Speaking of Which podcast with your hosts, Mego, Heather, and Shay. This is a podcast for the magically inclined, where we'll discuss how to live life deliciously through magic. Would thou likes to live deliciously? In this week's episode, we'll be doing introductions and we'll talk about how we each got into practicing the dark arts. So, hey,
Yay.
welcome to the first episode of our podcast.
Yay!
Yay!
So exciting. So exciting. I hope to do many, many more with you lovely, lovely people. And I'm just excited that we get to embark on this awesome journey. I've always wanted to do this. This has been like one of those things that you're like, I like talking to people and I like talking to friends even more. I mean, that's who doesn't, right? And to be able to just find like-minded people that are willing to just sit and have a chat with you already is a feat, because we're in a world where we're just so go, 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 right?
Right.
So I'm just super excited that you guys are wanting to check this out with me.
Yay!
Yeah.
So I guess I want to kind of start with an introduction so that, people know who we are. Either one of you want to give it a go at like a brief intro, like who you are, how lovely you are, all those things.
I don't want to go first.
Come on.
Megan, it's to you.
All right. All right, fine. I will go first. Well, hello, everybody. Hello. My name is Megan Lee. I do a lot of different things. I dabble in a lot of different stuff. I like science. I like new age things. I have a tinfoil witch's hat, I guess to say. I always say I'm Wisconsin's very own bog witch, especially when I perform. I'm a performer. So I do
Nice.
flow and some contortion, dark fusion dance, things like that, sideshow. Let's see here.
He rises from the bog.
Right. I just the Northeast Wisconsin bog. Yeah. Way up there, close
Oh,
to the
yeah.
EC there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you know?
Oh yeah, don't you know, getting up there a little bit. I always said if you wanted to hide a body, to put it in the bogs of Marinette County, because it's the bog. So what can I say? But I also have grown-up jobs where I work in vet med, which I really love and enjoy. I own a yoga studio and do a lot of different stuff with that. I am a practice of witchy of the craft, so you can say that I'm a witch. I'm not colored green, but I'm still scary and skinny. Maybe, I don't know. I kind of have an eclectic practice. Don't want to, I guess my goal is to creep you out. I'm like sitting there thinking, like, how loud should I talk? Like, I've known Shay and Heather for many of years and things, so I'm excited to be here and to do this, and I can't wait to see the subjects we talk about, the ideas that come out of it, perspectives, all of that stuff. So yeah.
That is I think my best takeaway, I think, from all of this is going to be the ideas that get developed out of this, the opportunities that may come or may not, which is fine either way. But I believe that the discussions bring about solid foundations for ideas, for relationships, and to find like-minded people again that you can do that with. Again, it's just awesome. So thanks for being here, Megan. I'm so appreciative of you taking the time, because I know we all busy.
It's perfectly fine. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. Okay.
I think it's cool too with us. Like, we're all very different from one another, while also being somehow, like-minded. I'm pretty excited for the conversations that'll come. So, well, I'm Heather. I come from an educational background, as far as like my career and stuff. I have a degree in 6th through 12th grade English language arts. However, that is not my main career. My main career is I am a certified birth doula and breastfeeding counselor and childbirth educator and a placenta encapsulation specialist.
Amazing.
Um,
Love it. We love it.
Love
on the
it.
side, I do still use my degree and I substitute in a few districts in our area. Um, as far as like my witchy background, I actually, and we can talk about this further later on, but I was raised in a religious cult. I got out when I was 18. I tried to be a normie for a really long time, until I discovered the craft back in like 2018-ish is when I really started looking into it. 2017, 2018. And I would say I don't know. I don't know how to define my witchiness.
Mhm.
I make candles. During the
Yeah.
pandemic, I had a candle business, Kitchen Witch has products, and
Intuitive, organic witchiness.
yeah. And
Within.
I'm a kitchen witch. Definitely, I'm a
Yeah.
kitchen witch. I love to cook. I'm always, you guys know, I am always cooking up something and trying to incorporate energy into that as well.
Well, we all know that food tastes better when you, I mean, I don't know if you guys, and if you haven't seen it, this is an amazing time to introduce a little bit. But there is a book called like Water for Chocolate, and it talks about food and how your emotions get seeped into the food and how people
Mhm.
feel what you felt when you were cooking. And that's total magic. That's total
It
witchcraft,
is.
you know? So I am so happy that you're here and you're an amazing human.
Thank
And
you
I'm
so
just so,
much for asking me.
yeah. So that's really cool. Did you want to add anything else? I didn't mean to like, cut in like that. So, but
No, I'm a pretty, I feel like I'm a pretty boring person, honestly. Like I'm
No.
so grateful that you have me here because I don't know why.
I mean, you're a doula. That alone, I mean, and you're an
Right.
amazing human. You have so much to information, experience to share with everyone. And I'm sure we'll love hearing what you will bring to the table.
I
So,
love talking about it. Maybe that's why I'm a chatty. I'm a chatty Cathy sometimes.
yeah.
But yeah, just I am married, been together 19 years this year, and
Ooh.
have a 13-year-old daughter. So coming from like a parenting aspect as well, and like more topics we can talk about is
Mhm.
healing trauma through parenting and like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, raising our kids as differently as possible from how we were raised and how that is such
100%.
an incredibly healing experience. But yeah, I guess that's it. That's me in
Absolutely.
a nutshell.
That's awesome. Amazing. Thank you again so much. And then it's just me. I'm Shay.
Not
Um,
just you.
Yeah, not just. Come on now.
um, so I go by Calypso Fire Witch. That is my performance name and how I usually exude my stuff online. That's what I put out there under that name. I am originally from the Caribbean. I have lived in the States, in the mainland. Here's what we call it, from island living. The mainland for 26 years now. I'm older than I look. I'm a photographer by day. I'm a creative soul through and through, from this part all the way through the end. I do photography. I try to do videography. That's my main jam in the mornings. And I'm also a bruja. I am been in the journey of diving into my culture and what traditions the island folk of where I'm from brought forth in their beliefs. It's been super amazing, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. I'll interject it as much as I can because it's been so eye-opening.
We better talk
Yep.
about it. It's
Yeah,
so interesting.
it
So,
is.
and it's just, and I looked into my genealogy this year, into like my DNA with my parents, and I kind of like, it was kind of like a little bit of a bonding moment between us, in which
Mm.
they were super excited that I was looking into our ancestors, and I'm like, oh, you're not gonna like why, that's okay, because I too come from a very religious, strict background. I grew up Pentecostal, again in a small island where you were barely able to do very much. And
Wow.
but yeah, but now I've been practicing. I started when I was 18, which I'll get more into when I talk about how we actually became, how I came to be who I am. But started when I was 18, then I got off the track, and then didn't practice for many years, and then found it again in like 2012 is when I actually got like back into it. And it's been life-saving for me
Mm,
to find myself where I explore these subjects that are under the occult and pagan, and I am like, wow, this is amazing. And there's so
mhm.
much to choose from. There's so much in this world. It's like, it's just opens so many doors to understanding so many things. So it's been
Yeah.
really, really, really cool. So I'm also a performer, I should say. I do fire things with fire props. Always fun to do. I have been performing. I'm a theater kid, so I grew up on stage, having embarrassing moments on stage. That's so it's always been a part of who I am, the performing
Love
part.
it.
So super thankful to be here and to start this journey with what have become two of my best friends. Um, so I'm super excited. Um, but yeah, so I guess now we know each other, and hopefully our audience knows a little bit about each other too.
Yeah.
Just a little.
So I guess we should really talk about what we're here to talk about. Our main topic today is going to be, how did we get into witchcraft?
Hmm.
What was the, all the events that took place that led us down this wonderful, amazing, beautiful path,
Mm.
connected us with so many other people, along with nature and our surroundings. So, how did we come to be in this wonderful, amazing place? I guess I'll start it since I'm here.
Sure.
And I kind of started talking about it a little bit. So again, I started when I was 18. I started by finding a Wicca book called To Ride a Silver Broomstick. And that was the first book I ever read. Was born and indoctrinated into Protestant religion for many, many years. And it was a very removal or subtracting religion. You can't do this. You can't do that. You got to subtract this from your life, this from your life. It was very much like, you are in this world. That's always what they say. You're in this world, but not of this world. And with all of that, I always had questions. Sunday school was always kind of like a situation where I would be asking questions because it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make
Right.
sense. It didn't fit. I was trying to fit a square into a hole, and it never made sense. So when my parents divorced, when I was very, very young, I took the opportunity that there was chaos in the household, to introduce a little chaos myself and say, I am not going back to church. You cannot make me go to church, although they had been making me going to church for so long. But I was finally able to say, nope, not doing it anymore. I want to find other paths. And when I got that first book when I was 18, that was just the one of the books that I explored. I explored Kabbalah, I explored Buddhism, I explored Hinduism, because I was very clearly searching
Mm.
for something, searching for answers, and searching for something that
A
made.
fit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
that's it. And I spent so many years doing that. And I kept getting these books that were mostly pagan, mostly heathen, mostly occult. And I started devouring them and really reading them. And that's the path that I was like, this mixed in with a little bit of Buddhism, that's me. That's me. And I made that connection for myself, very personal for me, right? So once I started really figuring out and connecting all that stuff for myself, it became a very personal practice, as I believe it should be. And that's when I really started getting into, I've researched all these other religions, if you will, or practices, and I've really found that this is the best way for me. So ever since I started back up in 2014, I've really been diving in, like hardy, diving in into what I am doing right now. So that's kind of how I got to be here. And I hope that it
Awesome.
carries me through so many more
Yeah.
things.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. I love it. I love it.
But I love hearing everybody's like journeys to whatever their belief is. I like
Hmm.
hearing, and I'm sure as we go on, we're going to have more and more conversations on this. And deep dive in specifics, but I still love hearing how, there's always that something wasn't just right. And I just had to keep looking.
Yeah.
Just had to keep
Searching for
looking.
the fit.
Yep. I like that. I always like
Yeah.
hearing
And
about
that's an important part, I believe, of like getting to know who you are, getting to know yourself, your
Yeah.
individuality,
Mhm.
how you express yourself in this world. Your spirituality's got to match up with that, because otherwise,
Right. For sure. I love it. Love it. All
So
right.
Megan, how did you, Megan, how did you?
How did I? Yeah, how did I? So, different from you guys, I was not at all in a religious household whatsoever. There was no religion at all. The only time that there was when my mom was engaged to somebody who was part of the Catholic faith. And in order for them to be married and everything like that, we had to be baptized, go through all of that stuff. So I was a Catholic altar girl. Um, really wasn't into organized religion. During this time too, I'm a bookworm, so I spent a lot of time at the public library,
Yes.
and
Love
I
that.
I
Yeah.
was reading and mind you, this is like early 90s, just reading anything that I possibly can
Mhm.
on different beliefs, ancient beliefs,
Oh, I love
now
that.
cults, everything, trying to find something that fit. The
Right.
one thing that I did know was my connection with nature. That was my one thing. Not with just, like being outside. And when we say nature, we're just like nature. No, the connection of, the air on my face, the sun shining on me, the,
Mm.
ground beneath me, the bugs around me, like everything, that connection. I knew there was something with that. And that was my big thing. I was like, I have this huge connection. Why? Why do I have that?
I feel like sometimes we don't lose that connection when we grow up with that connection
Right,
with kids, and some of us get to
right,
keep it, which is amazing that
right.
Mm.
it just,
And at a young age, I mean, it was definitely like, and I didn't have words for it because I couldn't find anything for it, because
Mhm.
they didn't have, like, the books that they had on witchcraft in the public library were more educational books on witchcraft. So it was like Salem witch trials, it was, witches in the UK,
historical,
it was,
historical stuff.
yeah, like that type of stuff. It wasn't, like anything that was new, quote unquote, new age,
Mhm.
so to say. Or even if you want to talk about like Alexandrian and like, um,
Athenian or
yeah,
any
yeah.
of those Wiccan
Even
sects.
those, like, they didn't even have that stuff.
Mhm.
So there wasn't any, I didn't have a name for it. I didn't know what it was
Mm.
until my aunt, one of my aunts, she is a practitioner. And she, all of a sudden, I had to been like probably 8, 9 years old. And she's like, I think you would benefit from this book. And it was a Scott Cunningham book. It was Scott Cunningham's
Nice. Yes.
Solitary Practitioner.
Yeah.
And I I am not at all Wiccan. That is not a path. It was something I used that as, this was something that I could put a name finally to it.
Right.
Yeah,
There was
exactly.
That's what it was. So from there is when I started going into it. And I grew up in like way northeast Wisconsin, right on the border of Wisconsin and the UP. So our bookstores were not
Mhm.
like
Oh, yeah,
not
sure.
Much
packed with a
information
lot of
on
stuff.
that.
And even coming down to Green Bay, their bookstores aren't going to be all of, I mean, now I go into bookstores and I'm like, oh my God, even at, some other places that you wouldn't even think about, like at Five Below and stuff like that. And I'm like, man,
Yeah.
like, where was this when I was growing up? Like
Right.
this could have helped me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it was a lot of, I like to call, just like free range learning.
Mhm.
So I started like
How cool.
foraging. I started kind of foraging, kind of getting comfortable with the like the plants around me, which then fueled my practice, my belief practice as well. Um, I am also, I do like to be called a hedge witch or a kitchen witch. I guess you can kind of say that because like whatever I make, that's my passion,
You
right?
haven't mentioned that you're like an herbalist. She's
Yeah,
like a
that too. I know.
hardcore,
I,
like, has
Very
the
much
I know.
certifications.
super
Your
knowledgeable.
brain is so incredible, and you haven't even mentioned it.
I know.
That's important. She's
Yeah,
so smart, y'all. She's so
I,
smart.
I am. I'm a certified herbalist and also a certified aromatherapist. So like I mean, I love the scientific aspect of what the plants and everything do for us, but I also love that new age mystery about it.
Right.
That human belief. That's what it is. It's the human belief. Um, I am a big time believer in like karmic life. So
Mm,
my life that I am living right now is a result of my lives past. So in this life, I can recognize my wrongs and I can change that and lead a more fulfilling life. So then my next lifetime, it'll be better for me until I
Right.
hit enlightenment, right?
Enlightenment, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you know, now I love it because the stuff that I've been through in my life, I can say that my belief practice has gotten me through it, has like made me the
mm,
person that I am, has always grounded me.
Mhm.
But I love it so much because it's not put in a box.
Right. It's not
I
constrained by.
right. I can make it what I want it. Like that's what I love.
That's the beauty
And
of a personal
that's
practice.
right,
beautiful.
right. And it's just
Absolutely.
yeah. So I'm excited to talk more about it, but we got lots of stuff to talk about today.
Yeah.
So I'm now going to pass the ball on over to Heather.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I think that leads to me then.
Woo!
I guess I have kind of a long story, and I'll try to keep it just the cliff notes. So I grew up in a religious cult. When and it was very normal for members who, well, I shouldn't say normal because I was one of the first kingdom kids to grow up in like the church. So whatever. There was a whole process for like becoming a quote unquote member of the church that you had to go through, where it was just like a process of studying the Bible and learning the scripture and confessing your sins and basically going through this process to like become an official member before you get baptized. You go through the baptism process. And when I got to the age of 13, having been indoctrinated into it, I was like, yes, let's do this. I am ready to become a member. Like I, at that age, thought that I was going to grow up and become like a member, like a leader in the church. And
Well,
having grown up in it, I was one of the first children that were in the church once it was established. So from the time I was 3 years old, I was in it. And I went through the process and it was really weird, especially like whatever. I can get into this whole part later. Anyway, I got baptized and was devastated because I didn't feel any different. I thought going into this process and going through this long traumatizing process of like confessing my sins, which were not many.
right.
I
The
was
child.
I was a 13-year-old girl who had grown up in the church and like followed. I was a good girl. Like anyways, I remember calling my she was called discipler, basically my mentor, my peer mentor,
Yeah.
the morning after and being like, I was crying to her on the phone about how I didn't feel any different.
Right.
And
'Cause you expected some kind of like transformation to take
right,
place.
they were like, oh, and you're
Yeah.
accepting Jesus into your heart and becoming a child of God and blah, 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 blah. And I felt no different. And I felt like lied to. And
Yeah. Devastating
really,
to a child who's only
yes.
13. I mean, your world is literally crumbling. I'm so sorry you went through that.
So that was really what triggered me to start questioning my surroundings and the things that I was being told and wanting to learn more about myself. Well, one thing that I knew was that I loved nature. I loved being outside, out of the house, by the trees, by water. I grew up in Milwaukee, so Lake Michigan was near. We eventually moved to New Berlin, and I remember there was like a park area that had a creek and a bridge that went over the creek, and there was trees, and that was like my spot. That's where I would go
Amazing.
to ground. And
Yeah.
what I thought was, well, what they told me, which was like having a quiet time every morning, was like a requirement. Like if you were a good Christian, every single morning you were reading the Bible and reading like a self-help book and praying. So my favorite part of that was getting outside and going for a walk and praying. But what I recognize that as now is that was like an energy exchange between the universe and I.
Right.
I know now, or I feel now, I believe now it wasn't me speaking to this almighty deity. It was just me connecting with the
Connecting to the
universe,
flow. Yes.
grounding.
And source. Yeah.
So anyway, I left at 18, moved out of my house, moved in with my father for the first time, went to college. And this was a completely new beginning for me, completely starting over and really having the freedom to try to figure out who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And in this time, my life got twisted upside down and I met my husband and I thought I was going to graduate college and I was going to move back to Milwaukee and I was going to teach in the city and I was going to be poor because I was going to be a teacher. So I was going to live in like a loft apartment somewhere in downtown and like a studio apartment is what I thought. And like, that was what I thought for myself. That was what I envisioned. It was very simple. I didn't picture myself getting old.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know how long I was going to live. Like, I was just like, whatever. That was my very simple plan. Go to college, become a teacher, move back to Milwaukee, live alone. I never planned on being in a relationship. I never planned on getting married and having kids. None of it. I didn't think that was part of my plan. Well, I met my husband and life took me in a completely, I guess, domesticated situation that I didn't know like what was happening, I guess, basically. Like I feel like I really lost myself just trying to be good, just trying to be a good mom and trying to be a good wife, trying to be a good employee, whatever, just trying to be good and make good and like
human. Yeah. I totally get that.
I started looking into and getting interested in my family tree and just started doing research and was talking to my dad, my dad was not a part of the cult. It was my mother and my stepfather that were. So I was talking with my dad and
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Was it your mother who was more drawn to the cult, or was it your stepfather that was?
It was a sense of safety for my mother. It's a long story, but she found safety and community for the first time in her life. She was a vulnerable, young, single mother with a traumatizing past.
Right. The type of people
that's where they get you. That's how they get you.
Yeah.
When you're vulnerable. And the long story, but they were kind of like, it was almost like an arranged marriage. And my mother did eventually leave the church for reasons that are weird. And my stepdad, to my knowledge, is still in it, but I've been no contact with them for so long. I really don't have any way of knowing anything anymore.
Yeah. Which is, I'm sure, as that brings a sense of peace.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
I just, but before I went no contact with my mother, she had left for reasons of her own. And anyway, she was always really like into plants, really more like spiritual, kind of a hippie ish kind of. And my dad my biological father was also, or claimed to be very spiritual, into tarot, things like that. Like and like meditation, and like he's weirdly into like Native American stuff. Like, why? You're super white, but like he's kind of obsessed with it. And so I just started like looking into stuff online. And I found, you might recognize this name or not, I don't know, Harmony Nice was like a YouTube channel around the 2017, 2018 era. And she was like this girl in the UK somewhere that was really witchy. And I think she was Wiccan. I can't remember for sure, but I remember finding her page and being like super drawn to the idea of connecting with nature. And then also finding and exchanging your energy and your power along with nature and what's around you, and like connecting to the energy around you. And that's kind of what like led me into starting to research things.
Something that you said that really stuck out to me was the fact that your mom was kind of like into some of the things. My mom, although very, very Protestant, very, very Protestant, was very much into herbs, very much into traditional folkloric kind of taboo-ish home remedies, you know? And she can stand there and she can tell me that she's not a witch, but then I look at the things that she does in the and then I look at the things that she does for healing. And then I look at the little potions she comes up with whenever she's got a sore throat. And I know she's doing witchcraft. You know what I mean?
That's exactly it. And I think that's what I recognized with her, was that I recognized that organized religion had changed the soul of like who she was and how she viewed herself, and really was very restricting to us, in the household as women, especially. Like, we were always told it was our job to to obey the man of the house, and to, and like follow all those rules, and it was prideful or sinful to like seek these things out that were not like quote unquote of the Lord. And so there was that restriction, but I always had a pull to it. I was always very interested in it, even though I wasn't allowed to go there. Even Harry Potter was like, my mom was like, I'm going to be nice and let you watch Harry Potter. But, we had like a discussion about it beforehand, because it was witchcraft and wizardry, which is not of the Lord, and like, be careful, whatever. Anyways.
Oh my gosh. It's really
my mom.
Because when I was a kid, I would remember literally standing on the window on Halloween night and watching every single kid in the neighborhood literally walk down the street with their baskets full of candy. And I would ask my mom, like, why am I not participating? Why am I? As a child, I knew this. I was like, everybody else is doing it. Why are we not? Why are we with our lights out, trying to act like we're not home? And she's like, well, you don't celebrate that. That's
You're like, yeah, I do.
or whatever, and I'm like, but I want to have like a normal childhood like everybody else does.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
and
my
all those
gosh,
things
yes.
is like very restrictive. And you see everybody else having like these normal traditions that they build with their families. And you being like kept out of that, it makes you wonder why. And then you start looking into
why
so
is
what's the
it?
difference?
Yeah.
We didn't have any like family traditions for any of the holidays. Not even like my growing up life was not the best, and we did not come from money at all. So like even Halloween and stuff like that was not like an extravagant holiday. My mom's birthday is the day after Christmas, so there was no celebration of Christmas. We didn't have much of a family, so like Thanksgiving, things like that, birthday parties, like no celebrations. So like hearing you guys like talk about, I love that. I love hearing you guys talk about how those little nuances of like Halloween for you, for Shay, for instance. Like those things that we sometimes would take for granted or not think about, how you as a child wanted to participate, or even like you, Heather, with being quiet and stuff, and being that submissive, and we follow and everything. Where my mom was chaotic. I was watching Faces of Death when I was 7 years old. Like I had it was feral growing up. Like I had no adult supervision at all. So I feel
Don't get me wrong, I was not quiet, and this was problematic in my household. I have always had a strong, independent, questioning personality, always one to stand up for myself, which does not go over well in a household that's religious, where I am supposed to submit and be obedient.
Right.
And forgiving.
A woman in the patriarchy, like literally trying to speaking up for herself. How dare you?
It did not go well, which is why I moved out the day after I graduated high school. no, it was, I'm a fighter. I'm a fighter. I've always had to be a fighter, and I've had to learn how to be soft.
I also left when I was 19 also, so very similar situation here where my mom was like, you're done. And I was like, okay. Bye.
And
So
I mean,
very similar.
So
yeah,
I guess getting back to my journey, it started out very superficial. I started talking to one of my half sisters who's younger than me, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, about what I was learning. And she was also simultaneously learning about the same things we didn't know. And we started talking about it together. And we were talking about our family tree together and what I was learning about that. And she was talking to me about the things that she was learning about witchcraft. And I was like basically all kind of coming together at once. And it was amazing to have my sister learning the same things and just someone going along this journey with me. Unfortunately, she passed away. And so I lost that, but still continued my journey. I did have a medium once describe her to me and tell me that whenever I was working on my witchcraft, on my candles, that she was in the background excited. She did this, like in the background excited, basically along this journey with me still. And that was extremely comforting to me, and I think always will be.
Nice. Well, it's good to know that our ancestors and our kin are always looking down on us, always encouraging us. And that's really, gosh, amazing that you had at least one family member who was with you in that. My dad is that for me a little bit. Like my dad, we talk about kind of like weird things and more spiritual things, but I don't really have like any family, of course, because most of my family's still in the church, still super Protestant. Go Jesus. Kind of thing. So I can't really talk to them about that, but that's why I have you guys.
Yeah, we have each other.
That's always the fun part. That's always the good part. So, let's talk about what are you digging right now? That's really, really cool. What's your favorite thing out of all of it could be a tool that you're feeling that you're really feeling for the eclipse coming up or something a favorite book that you're hanging on to right now. What is could be witchy, non-witchy. What is your favorite item right now that you are really vibing with and you're really digging? So
I got some cool things at that gem show. One thing that I saw that was super cool is a green onyx mortar and pestle.
Ooh, that's beautiful. Wow.
And it was under $40, guys.
Wow, that's gorgeous. Just
Yeah.
absolutely gorgeous. Oh, it's so nice to find new tools
Yeah.
out there in the world.
But that was a secondary thing. My number one thing that I'm really happy about is I got this in.
Okay. Eccentric.
Okay.
So he is an artist and he drew these very whimsical cats, but as he ended up having schizophrenia. So he would draw these beautiful cats like this, and as his disease was progressing, his art started becoming
wow. Very cool though.
And they're all of cats. So this book is like a tear out one where you can actually tear out the prints and frame them.
I love that.
They're gonna go up on my wall going up the stairs. So I was like, oh,
that is awesome. Oh, that's awesome. And you found them both at the same show, at the same gem show that you went to?
I found the book. Obviously, I just got that on Amazon because I was because I like art. Well, I like art. Who doesn't like art? And I like to find different artists and kind of explore different artists and things like that. And I like Salvador Dali, and I like those really weird type, of artists and those eccentric ones. And I was like, I'm an adult and I can buy things as an adult. And you know what I want? By golly, I want my stairwell to be covered in eccentric cats.
Hell yeah.
I love
Hell
it.
yeah. Absolutely. So this is the one thing about adulting
Oh.
that I honestly like, because everything else pretty much sucks. Okay. You gotta pay bills, you gotta like call your insurance company and be like, why did my insurance go up? I mean, nobody likes to do that shit. It's so lame. Don't do it. But I buy stickers. I love stickers. I am a 46-year-old woman who loves to cover her shit in stickers. And I will never apologize for that, because those are the little treats that I give myself so that I can live and look at my things and be like, hell yeah. Look at my shit and go, that was cool. Or like get it from experiences or whatever. Like
Yeah.
when I go to the tattoo convention, I go there to pick up, literally to meet tattoo artists and to pick up their stickers.
I love
So
that.
that is awesome. I am so happy. I also have a book that's like that poster book as well. That's Tear Out, but it's it's a design book, so it's mostly of like posters and like graphics of like the shows, the upcoming shows.
Okay.
So it's a really cool book of like all these bands and their cool posters that they design and put all over to kind of like advertise their shows. So that's really cool. Heather, what about you? Do you have anything cool that you're enjoying right now? Really awesome stuff.
I also went to a crystal show and like that cool fair that I showed you guys, right?
Oh, yeah.
Although I wish I could have gotten stuff from that one vendor that I showed you where she had like the chicken.
Yeah, that's the
feet.
paw, the chicken feet.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that was so
Following them,
cool.
immediately started following them on Facebook. Shout out.
Amazing. Yes. Yeah, maybe in like the link information where the link information is, we can
Put their
take
page.
their information. Oh my gosh, this artist, she had so much cool. Basically, she's a taxidermist, and she had a bunch of taxidermied hearts of different animals that were really cool. And then she also had the chicken feet. She had like a fan with feathers and
crow feet too.
and necklaces. So cool. We'll have to link her information. But anyway, I also got a couple of gems, and these I feel like have really been helping me energetically. So the first one is this. It's labeled as a black sunstone, and it says black sunstone creates a protective space that allows you to release whatever isn't serving you, and then fills that space with a nurturing energy that facilitates self-healing. When used in meditation, black sunstone is said to open and activate the solar plexus chakra, which aids in manifesting intentions and desires. It also is believed to bring joy, lightheartedness, and optimism into one's life.
Nice.
So I got that one and this mookaite jasper.
Oh, I do like the white deposits on that. That's very cool.
And this one called to me too. It says, is a nurturing stone that supports and sustains during times of stress. It brings peace and a feeling of wholeness. Mookaite helps us with decision making, specifically when we are having a difficult time.
Nice.
So I have been having a difficult time.
I mean, if astrology is anything right now, it's just been
oh my goodness. So I really feel like they've both since welcoming these into my life, I keep them underneath my computer. I'm at my computer a lot for work. I really feel like it's helping me be like more focused and more optimistic, and helping me with making decisions as well, because I've been making so many decisions regarding business stuff and all kinds of stuff, like family stuff going on, all kinds of decisions being made. So I really feel like these came into my life exactly when I needed them.
Nice. The universe is always providing. Always providing. I do want to bug you guys a little bit about the eclipse, so we'll talk about that in a little bit and what we're thinking about that. But I want to share with you guys my favorite item of the moment.
Please.
So this is it's a tarot deck of mushrooms called Midnight Magic, and it's actually my most favorite tarot deck at the moment. It actually just goes into, because I want to learn about mushrooms, I want to learn about foraging and stuff like that. So it kind of gives you the name of the mushroom.
Ooh, it's educational.
Yes.
Love it.
So if you can check out
Yes.
Ooh, I love
Sorry,
that.
I gotta make sure I'm in the
Yeah.
camera there. But it is a very cool, very educational type of tarot deck, and I love the artwork.
Ooh,
The
I
artwork
love
is
the
very
artwork.
ethereal. The cardstock, because I am a cardstock freak,
Yeah, for
it is
sure.
nice and sturdy, not too thick, which makes for nice handling. And it's just a really, and it's black. It's all black, and then all the drawings,
It's
really stand
beautiful.
out. It is gorgeous,
What a
and
good find.
I was really proud of myself. I was like, damn, that's a good find. I'm gonna learn about some mushrooms. I'm also gonna read my tarot and make sure. And it's always nice to have something that's like earthy like this. I feel like that deck is very connected to earth, very connected to the ground, very connected to nature. So if there's anything in
Love
particular
it.
that I know I want to ask in regards to Mother Nature and speaking to me, I know she will use this as a conduit to get me any kind of info that she needs to. So very excited about that.
I love the educational aspect to it as well. Like, I'm horrible at memorizing things. Okay, I am a resource girly. Even when I'm teaching and I'm asked questions by students, I'm like, let's use our resources. Where did we see that information? Let's go look at where we saw that information
Yeah.
and get the information straight from where we got it initially. Like, I'm so I love it when we can incorporate the things that we love, like notebooks and tarot cards, with also learning. That's amazing.
Yes,
Yep.
I agree.
It makes the educator in me all tickled.
Yeah, I love to study. Study is it's really like the biggest part of my practice. It's
Yeah.
the study of things, the study of astrology, the study of
Really?
tarot, palm. I'm currently diving into, I've been studying bone throwing for the past year, and just really diving into the different types of areas that actually did bone throwing as its form of divination and how they differ between each other. It's been really interesting, and that's I love pen and paper. I love notebooks. My office is a mess because it's chaos incarnate, but it's like constructive educational chaos because I know where everything is and I know where all my pens and paper clips are. It's the Libra.
I hear you. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yes, I am a big advocate for learning, and in all of the things that I do, you're constantly learning, and that's my whole everything, every person, every interaction is either a lesson or a blessing, something you can learn from it. Every positive or negative, there's always something, so you never stop learning. But then to have those resources when you're able to incorporate it into your practice as an easy reference, because our brains, we only use a small amount of our brains, and there's ways that you can activate more parts of your brain. There's ways that you can, restore memory and stuff, but we only can store so much here, right? And I'm one of those people that sometimes if I have to learn something new, something old, they still leave.
Yes, this is why I have 3 and 4 Book of Shadows, because I need to write down information. As a studious researcher in me, I need to have it written down somewhere. And all of my notebooks are all categorized in between year and time frame and stuff like that. So I am very methodical in the way I kind of do my research, and it's the studious academic in me.
I love that.
Do that. So, and speaking of academia, let's talk a little bit about astrology. It's been bananas lately. It's been crazy with everything that's going on. The eclipse is actually tomorrow.
I'm sorry, guys. Tomorrow is Rex Manning Day.
Oh gosh.
No.
Sexy Rexy.
Damn the man, save the empire. Okay.
Yes. Damn right, Save the Empire. God, I love that movie. It's top 5 for me.
Any day, any other day, but no, the eclipse had to come on Rex Manning Day.
It's a sexy son. I like to be. Take place, be like, oh, it's sexy, but you can't see how sexy I am.
You can't see how sexy I am. I'm gonna shoot out.
Have you guys heard anything about using the solar eclipse power and what you should use it for? That's kind of what I want to talk about, because I've heard, of course, mixed information on whether you should do anything during eclipse. You should not do anything during eclipse.
Exactly.
So what is your opinion? What do you guys think?
It's hard because it depends on what you practice, right? So I'm a very sun-drawn practitioner. Yes, and we had earlier this week kind of briefly talked about that, but like very, very so much so a sun practitioner versus like a moon practitioner. So the eclipse, when I look at it, is a different type of power. It's still nourishing, it's still amplifying, but you're doing it almost in like not a negative to where it's like a bad part, but it's just a different type of energizer.
Right.
So it's just a little bit of a different energy used for different things. So however it is you practice, that's how that's going to fit.
Yeah.
But with more of the activity of what the sun's been doing, on the other hand, that adds in some more things. We've had an increase in sun flares.
Yes.
Ones. And we also have had like larger magnetic spots on the sun that are becoming more prominent. So there's a lot of different things when you're going into solar stuff that goes into like, contributing to what is the actual energy for the eclipse, right? There's some who use it as worshiping for a deity. Ancient Egyptians would use that as a sign for you to give up for a certain deity. And if you practice and do thanks to those deities, maybe there's an eclipse energy tied to that, depending on what it is. So,
right. Yeah. I do like it's chaotic. It's somewhat, it's not your regular energy. It's more chaotic energy, but like everything else, chaotic energy has a very particular use. It has a very particular energy that you can put towards things that you want to manifest or not manifest, or if you want to call into action. I mean, that for me is really what I see. I see a call to action with the sun being as powerful as it is and as hot and warm as it is. Move forward, action, projecting heat, So I'm going to definitely put out some water and I'm going to put out some oils to charge. And because here in Wisco, we'll get a partial solar eclipse. I think if I read correctly, it was between like 12:50 and like 3 p.m. something like that.
And it's supposed to be raining too. So here's the other kicker. So instead of like you're putting out water, collect that rainwater. Collect that rainwater.
Oh, babe. So absolutely. I just put the jar out there, put it open, let that water collect with that energy coming down. And then I'm going to start to kind of plan, what can I use that energy? I've been actually using water for scrying a lot lately. So that might be a good way because I've been practicing scrying a lot in like just different types of divinations, like flame gazing and stuff like that. So I think that would be good water to scry with, good water to play with. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll collect enough to be able to do both a little bit of a ritual and then a little bit of a scrying over here.
Yeah. I love that. I'm super intimidated by the energy of the eclipse. The chaotic energy is really what I spend a lot of time avoiding. So much of my practice is about bringing peace and bringing healing and like manifesting whatever you're trying to manifest. And the chaos and the chaotic energy of it is really making me want to shy away from doing a whole lot of anything with it because I don't want more chaos. I'm intimidated by the chaos. I'm trying to avoid the chaos. If there's something that brings peace or protection or growth or manifestation, then I'm like, yes, I want to know more about that. I want to work with that. And I'm frankly intimidated by anything else to work with it personally. Now, am I excited to learn about it and to see it in action? And am I going to be cheering you on when you're working with it? Yeah. I'm going to be your biggest advocate, absolutely. But it's not something that I'm interested in like welcoming
right
at this point in my practice. Now,
maybe you can start with supercharging, like using a lunar one before you start with the sun, and maybe using that as a supercharger to anything else because it's such potent energy. And yes, it can be chaotic, but I think if you redirect the energy and mold it to what you want to be, it can just supercharge whatever it is that you're putting out there too.
One thing I was excited about was talking about how the eclipse is really a great time for like new beginnings or supercharging. Well, that's a good word. Like basically that's all I can think of right now. Supercharging the path that you're wanting to go on, like realizing, figuring out what path you're wanting and using that energy to make it happen. And that's definitely something I'm excited about. There's new things that I have in my brain and in the works that I'm planning on starting at the end of the month after we get back from our vacation. And that's something that so tomorrow I'm going to be teaching when this eclipse is happening. So I'll be in a classroom, and I don't know if I'm going to have a window or not, but I'm going to be teaching, and we're probably not going to be, if the school does something, to like, I don't know, to watch it,
classes,
that would be super cool. And I would love that. I just don't know for sure if they will. You never know, but
I'm hoping, like, because the last 2 days it's been wrong about the weather. It says that it was raining yesterday and today, and it hasn't rained yet. So I'm hoping that it's going to not rain at all or be cloudy at all. But supposedly in our area, it's going to be. We'll see.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I'm at peace with the fact that I'll be teaching, because that's a way for me to welcome income. I'm making an income, and I'm focusing. I'm getting a lot more focused this year with my business, and so that's going to be my main goal.
It's amazing. I'm excited for you. I'm excited to see where you go. You're amazing and brilliant, and I hope that
you're amazing and brilliant.
And I'm thinking about the future here. I'm thinking about that this is gonna air after the eclipse has already taken place. So it'd be nice for the next time when we meet up, if we can talk about our expectations versus what actually took place, how we felt during that time, because I know my anxiety has been much better the last couple of days, but you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And tomorrow is going to be a big, big day energy. So when we meet up again, we'll talk about what happened and how we reacted and how it felt. About our emotions, emotion talking. Hear that, guys? We're going to talk about emotions.
Oh boy.
Emotions.
Yeah. Emotional damage.
Yeah. Damage. I also kind of want to talk, and this is something that I've kind of been diving into, and I hope that you guys will join me in this little adventure. I wanted to talk about next week, or next time, I guess I should say, not next week, but next time, about rituals. Do you guys have any rituals for new moon and full moon celebrations? And if so, what are those, if you're willing to share, or if you're willing to just share a little bit of part of it? Because I'm really trying to design my rituals at this moment, redesign them to incorporate several different things, and I just I'm curious about what you guys do for those events, if you do anything.
That sounds like
let's talk about it.
Cool. Thank you all so much for joining us. We hope you'll join us again for our next episode, and it will be released in June. That episode will be the second episode of our first season. Keep an eye out on our social media channels for the exact drop date. On Instagram and TikTok, we're listed under speakingofwhich.pod.